Welcome. First of all, welcome. This is Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, here to lead the conversation in important events and topics that are shaping today's society. Join the conversation and follow us wherever you get your audio podcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for our video podcast and YouTube exclusive content. Rate, review, like, comment, share. Share with your friends, share with your family, hell, even share with your enemies. On today's episode, I'm going to be dilly-dallying a little bit, talking about Superman. Then I'm going to be talking about things that we used to do back in the day that we wouldn't dare dream of doing now. And then I'm going to be talking about Gen Z in the workplace. But that's enough in the intro. Let's get to the show. So before we get into the main nitty-gritty of the show, I do want to give the audience an update. So we're not going to be releasing shows. This will be the last show that we release until after Christmas. So we'll release a show on December 27th, and that will be the last show of the year. So you got this show and one more show before the end of the year. And then we will be back January the 7th, I believe. That first Tuesday with the sibling happy hour. We're going to start the new year off with new graphics for our video podcasts and new intros and all types of stuff. So we're going to be upgrading for 2025. Want to let you know that even though we are only going to be releasing 2 more episodes, this one included, for the year, join our YouTube page for our YouTube exclusive videos that me and my sister will be filming this weekend, and we'll be releasing them throughout the week of Christmas and the week of New Year's, so that even though you're only getting this show and the show on the 27th, there'll still be new content on our YouTube page. Also, the show on the 27th will be a highlight show of some of our uncensored shows. So another sneak peek into what you could get on our Patreon page. So don't hesitate to join us at patreon.com/unsolicited perspectives. Join the YouTube page. Watch the YouTube exclusive videos. That's what's going on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today I woke up giddy. I was excited today because yesterday, which was December the 18th, we got a teaser for the new Superman movie. And today, December the 19th, we got the first trailer of the upcoming Superman movie that's going to be released shortly after my birthday on July 11th, 2025. And everybody that pays attention to this podcast knows I'm a huge Superman fan. Huge. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think they've cast it really well. David Cornsett is going to be Superman. Nicholas Hoult is going to be Lex Luthor. Buck from The Wire is going to be Perry White. They're going to have, a Green Lantern and a Hawk Girl and all types of other Mr. Terrific, another black superhero. So, I'm excited about that. And I watched the first trailer and I was hopeful. Crypto was also in it. Not my dog that passed away, Crypto, but Superman's real dog. Crypto was even in the movie. I implore everybody to go out there and watch the trailer. It looks like a really good movie from the trailer. Now, why am I excited? I'm excited because James Gunn is the director. And if anybody pays attention to any of the Marvel movies, he's the director that did Guardians of the Galaxy 1, 2, and 3, or Volume 1, 2, and 3, or whatever they're called, how they do the sequels. And they were always really good movies. And I wasn't expecting much from Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, that might be the reason why they did so well, because you weren't expecting much from them. Because, I'm a Marvel fan, but more DC than Marvel. I didn't really know who the Guardians of the Galaxy really were. And they were really good. He had a lot of ensemble cast, Chris Pratt, Dave Bautista, a load of other characters. And he always did really well telling a story and making sure that the characters got proper screen time. And you never felt overwhelmed and never felt cumbersome. It was just good entertainment. Now, his favorite character is Superman. He's the new one half of the DC head of Warner Brothers. So he and another guy is responsible, Peter Safran, I believe, is responsible for every DC content that is coming out for Warner Brothers, whether it's video games, cartoons, comic books, movies, he's responsible. He's the final decision maker. And he wanted to direct the Superman film because Superman was his favorite character, just like it's mine. And he's putting a lot of pressure on himself um, because he's got to live up to, okay. So let me give you guys a little bit of backstory before I get into why there's so much pressure on James Gunn. In 2013, the first Superman movie was made since 2006 that wasn't received well, Superman Returns, which was the first Superman movie made since 1988, which was Superman 4 Quest for Peace. And Man of Steel did well at the box office, but wasn't well received. And Warner Brothers, the company, got a little apprehensive with the director, Zack Snyder, and rushed the next project, which was Batman v Superman. They made Zack Snyder do a lot of cuts. If anybody's ever seen the directorial cut, it is phenomenal. Okay. What they released in the theater, there was a lot of plot holes because Warner Brothers made him cut a lot of the movie. And then they said, okay, now we got to come out with Justice League because Batman v Superman did okay, but still wasn't well received. Not like Wonder Woman and Aquaman, the first two. And they said, Warner Brothers said, we got to do Justice League. Well, they basically let Zack Snyder go in the middle of filming Justice League. His daughter had taken her life, and, you know, they weren't real happy. Warner Brothers wasn't really happy with the feedback they had gotten from Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. So they essentially just said, don't come back and work. And they brought in Josh Whedon, who had directed the first two Avengers movies, to finish Justice League. And what you saw in the movie theater was just trash, right? It was two different directors' visions. It wasn't well. There was a lot of, Zack Snyder was essentially fired from doing any more DC products, but there was such a huge fan backlash of people just wanting to see the Snyder cut of the Justice League that during the pandemic, Warner Brothers gave him the budget to finish any extra filming that he needed and do the special effects and everything. And he created this, it was a 4-hour epic, maybe a little bit more than 4 hours epic for Justice League, which was phenomenal. But then other movies came out. Black Adam wasn't that good. I don't think anybody was paying attention to Shazam. They put a lot of money into The Flash that didn't really do it. So they said, we're going to scrap everything and try to start over. So James Gunn was given the responsibility of taking a product that is well known, but that has currently a bad reputation when it comes to movies, and create a new universe and start everything new. And then there's been backlash because there are fans of Zack Snyder's DC universe that felt like he was unjustly let go, and there's some truth to that. And they were like, we don't want a new person. And who is this new person that did Guardians of the Galaxy? Why are you going to give him all the credit? Basically, if this movie flops, you might as well forget any of the extra movies that they have planned so far. They've started a television show, a little cartoon called Creature Commandos. It is for mature audiences only. Think Invincible if you watch that on Amazon Prime. It is the first product under his umbrella. Superman will be the first movie. He's directing it. And I'm telling you, this trailer gives me hope that this is going to be a really good movie. It's a lot going in this trailer. And one of my good friends hit me up earlier today and he's like, what you think about the trailer? I was like, I loved it, but you know, I love Superman. So I was going to love it regardless. What'd you think? And he was like, yeah, James Gunn is being real ambitious. I was like, yeah, he's being extremely ambitious, but it's hit or miss. It's like you've got to knock this movie out of the park for there to be interest in any of the other movies that are coming down the line. So yeah, this needs to be good. And so far from the trailer, it looked like it was good. It looks like it's going to be good. It looks like it's going to give me everything that I wanted in a Superman movie. Man of Steel came close. Man of Steel gave me the action of a Superman movie. But the true essence of Superman is hope. And I didn't get a lot of hope in any of the Snyder movies. It was a little too dark. And it looks like these James Gunn movies are going to be more hopeful. So I'm really looking forward to that. Go ahead. It's on YouTube. Just type in Superman movie and you're going to see the trailer. It's about 2 minutes and 20 seconds. It looks like it's going to be really good. It's going to be something that you can take your kids to. It's not like Deadpool and Wolverine. It's going to be kid friendly. So definitely go check it out. Go check out the trailer. I'm excited and I'm hopeful that this is going to be successful. But speaking of hope, God, I hope these people that are on the internet don't sit up there and try to hate on the movie before it's even out. I don't know if it's my algorithm, but it's all been pretty much positive from this trailer. But you never can tell with people out there. People love to talk badly about something before they give praise. And I am biased. I am absolutely biased. I want a Superman movie and I want it to do well because if this one doesn't work, this might be the last Superman movie that I ever get. So I want this to do well. So I am biased, but there are also people that are biased on the other end that's just going to hate. If this was bad, then I would admit, I don't know, this is not giving me good hope. But it doesn't. It looks like it's really good. So I'm hopeful. All right, before I get out of this dilly-daddling segment, because I know y'all didn't want to hear me talk about Superman, or maybe you did. I don't know. You guys pay attention because you want to hear me say something. And, I am very passionate about Superman. But I'm also passionate about stepping into my truth and creating boundaries. But I want to ask y'all a question. Am I wrong for this? I'm going to tell you the story, but the question is, am I wrong for this? Okay. I was talking to a person maybe a couple of weeks ago. I haven't brought this up on the podcast yet, and I was going to, and I decided not to, and then I decided after telling somebody else this story that I was going to bring it on the podcast. So a couple of weeks ago, I was talking to a person about the solar system, right? And we were going back and forth about, how big the solar system is and what does it really comprise of. And I said, hey, look, yes, it is true. We know more about outer space than we do about our own oceans, because this was the basic of the argument. But the solar system is so vast, we have no idea what's out there. And to give an example, I said, there are billions of stars out there. And with a lot of stars that we've seen so far, we see planets revolving around them just like our solar system. And I said, with all those billions of stars, there's got to be other life outside of the life that's here on the planet. We don't even know if there's life on other planets just here in our solar system, right? It's like with so many galaxies and so many stars and so many planets that are out there. Because if there are billions of stars, there's multi-billion planets that are revolving around these stars, more or less. And the person that I was talking to said something to the effect of, yeah, but we're not revolving around a star. I want y'all to really think about what I just said. The person said to me, yeah, but we're not revolving around a star. I said, what are we revolving around then? This person said, the sun. I said, what do you think the sun is? Well, it's not a star, it's the sun. I said, no, the sun is a star. Yeah, no, that's not right. I said, no, that's absolutely right. The sun is a star. Now, I believe you're wrong. I said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and end this conversation right now. I don't want to talk to you no more about this. As a matter of fact, I'm done talking to you for the rest of the day. I'll talk to you whenever I talk to you again. So am I wrong for ending the conversation because they were dumb as hell? I mean, was I? Because this is something that we learned in elementary school, that the sun is a star. Are there people out there listening right now that don't know the sun is a star? Like, y'all get that, right? The sun is a star. So when I say there are billions of stars out there are billions of suns out there. Because the sun and the star is one and the same. Right? Like, you get that? So am I wrong for cutting off an idiotic conversation because I didn't want to entertain it anymore? And basically looking the person dead in their face and calling them dumb. I've been doing that a lot lately. I've been telling people I'm not going to entertain this conversation with you because I just feel like intellectually it's not up to par to what I deem as stimulating. I literally said that word to word, word for word to another person. They were beside themselves saying that, like, what are you calling me stupid? I'm saying, well, I don't know if you're completely stupid, but what you just said was, and I don't really want to entertain this anymore. Hey, look, in my older age, I'm getting real honest. I don't know if it's the greatest thing in the world. I probably could sugarcoat how I want to say things to people, but yeah, this is just really how I feel. And if people gonna say dumb things like not realizing the sun is a star, then I'm just gonna be like, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Especially when you're gonna argue with me about it when I know that I'm absolutely right. And there's Google. People. It is I don't know what. Look, I'm starting to get agitated all over again. I'm not gonna do that. Today is Superman Day. I'm feeling happy. So that's what I'm gonna talk about. But in that same vein as doing stupid stuff, in the next segment, we're going to talk about things that we used to do back in the day that there's no way in hell we would do today. And we will get into that next. So I was online, like I typically am, reading articles like I typically do. And another article came up that really, actually two of them, one I'm going to talk about in a segment, that came up that really sparked my interest. And the article is 13 social norms we accepted as kids that seem outrageous now. And this story is by Georgia McCartney. And I'm not going to go through all 13 social norms. I picked out about 5 or 6 that were absolutely crazy now that I think about it, that I just wanted to talk about. So, hey, look, listen, write, review, like, comment, but comment. Let me know what you think about these and if you remember them and think that these were crazy as hell like I do. Okay, number 1, we used to hitchhike without a second thought. Now, for my Gen Z people out there, and I doubt very seriously there's any Gen Alphas listening to this, but my Gen Z people out there, and some of my younger millennials that don't know what hitchhiking is, or have only seen it in movies and don't really know, back in the day, before ride shares, if you lived in a small town and didn't have public transportation, you might be walking along on the side of the road, stick out your thumb, and that signaled that you were looking for a ride. A stranger would pull up beside you, ask you where you're going, and either give you a ride there or not. This is something that we routinely use to do. Now, we have a new measure of hitchhiking, and that is ride shares. But here's the major difference between hitchhiking back in the day and ride shares, okay? Because ride shares are essentially taxis. Number 1, even though the ride share is a complete stranger, there are mechanisms put in place to make sure that we are safe. Back in the day when we used to hitchhike, we didn't know who that person was. We had no idea what their intentions are. Part of the reason why we don't do it anymore is because a lot of serial killers found a lot of victims during hitchhiking. Some people even have stories of hitchhiking across the country, and they made it safe and sound, and that's fantastic. I'm sure that was a hell of an adventure, and I would love to do something like that. But guess what? I never will, because I watch too many crime shows and true crime and murder mysteries, and I know that I would have been probably picked up by Jeffrey Dahmer. Hitchhiking, that is something that we used to do back in the day that is absolutely crazy when we think about it. And I don't know when hitchhiking ended, but I know people were still doing it in the 90s. I know it was really prevalent probably in the 60s and 70s, but I know for a fact people were still doing it in the 90s. Now, I never did it, I don't think. No, I think I was with one of my aunts one time and we hitchhiked somewhere. Crazy. That is crazy that you think about. I was a little kid. I was a little ass kid out there hitchhiking on the side of the road. I should be thankful that I'm here and alive. All right. Another thing that we used to do back in the day that we don't do anymore because it was crazy that we did it back in the day were TV dinners. Some of you people might not know what TV dinners are. They still sell them in the grocery stores. You know, those hungry man dinners, they still kind of advertise them where it's a tray of food that you throw in the microwave and you heat it up. And there's some Salisbury steak and some mashed potatoes and some peas and a brownie on the side. Yeah. In the 60s and 70s, when that became a thing, that's what people used to eat for dinner. And I don't know if you guys have ever had a TV dinner before. I did, ate a lot of them in college. Not proud of it, but I did. Whenever I wasn't having ramen, I had me a TV dinner. And guess what? They were disgusting because to heat them up was so intricate. Like you had to pop holes in the plastic and then take it out and then remove the plastic and then put some water in this and then stir it and put it back in the microwave for 2 minutes and then take it out for 30 seconds, let it cool and then twist it clockwise and then counterclockwise. I was like, I could have just made a whole real meal for as long as it took me to heat this up. And no matter how you heated it up, it was always cold in the middle. You know why? Because the way you kept it fresh was by keeping it in the freezer. So you literally take it out of the freezer, you don't defrost it, and you throw it in the microwave. People used to eat it. Poor on seasoning, high on sodium. They were just heart attacks and stroke meals in a box. And people used to sit there and eat those TV dinners and with the TV trays and sit in front of the TV and have dinner. Yes, they did. It was the 70s. So they were still doing it in the 80s. By the 90s, it kind of stopped, you know, because you realized that there was one, the food wasn't that great. And two, like just go ahead and cook a full meal because it's going to take you just as long to do that as it would trying to turn this TV tray clockwise and counterclockwise, take the film off, put the film back on, put a paper towel over this, take the brownie out. It was just too much. But that's something that we used to do back in the day that we would never do today. Another one, letting kids roam free all day. Back in the day, and me and my sister have talked about it, millennials, Gen X, we were latchkey kids. We was outside playing, even boomers, outside playing all day. When it was summertime, you would wake up in the morning, eat your little bowl of cereal, throw on whatever clothes that you had on that day and be gone until nighttime. And you come in every now and then, maybe grab a snack, have some lunch, or you didn't really need to come in to drink because it was water hoses outside everywhere. You just drink water from the water hose outside. Kids was gone all day. Parents had no idea what we was doing. We was just out in the elements in the street. My sister told the story that her and my brother used to pack a lunch and go take adventures in the woods and try to get lost. That is crazy. We was doing crazy stuff back in the day. We was shooting each other, making homemade bow and arrows, shooting each other with the bow and arrows. We was just out there living life. You would never see that now. Parents know where their kids are. The kids got a cell phone. There's GPS tracking. And you know what? Probably a good thing because all those kids that you talk about from the true crimes got kidnapped when we was kids. We said, hey, we were safe. We made it through. There's a lot of kids that got kidnapped because parents didn't know where they were. Okay. Now parents know where they are, where their kids are. And that's a good thing. You don't need to be a helicopter parent. And also some of you parents need to kick your kids outside and make them go outside and play. That's where life is. That's where you learn that's where you forge bonds. That's where you learn teamwork. That's when you learn how to entertain yourself. It was a time period. And yeah, you might poke out of the eye or, lose a finger or, some kids that happen to. But you know what? We were strong for it. And being those latchkey kids is the reason why millennials and zillennials are the strongest generation because we just endured multiple wars and pandemics and epidemics and things of that nature. And we're still standing and we're still here strong. That's because we was outside playing all day long where our parents had no idea where we were. Kids still need to be outside playing, but it's a really good thing now that parents know where their kids are almost at all times. That's beautiful. Another thing that we used to do back in the day that we don't do now, but I kind of wish they would bring it back. Roller rinks. We used to skate. I remember in Lynchburg, Virginia, the hangout was skate land. We used to go get our skates, or if you had the money to have skates, and then you was somebody, because not a lot of people had the money to have their own skates. I didn't have the money to have my own skates, so I scratch up my little bit of money, you know what I'm saying, and go to the roller rink, order my little, 12, size 12 roller skates, and then go roller skate. Look, you fell in love in the roller skating rink. You heard the new songs at the roller skating rink. Everybody was there at the roller skating rink. If you was nobody in school, but you could roller skate, you could do your thing. I don't, and then rollerblading came out, and then nobody really wanted to roller skate anymore. Everybody wanted to be outside rollerblading. I never could get used to those four single wheels, that was in a straight line. I needed those four wheels that looked like a car on your foot. That's what I needed, because I couldn't ride a rollerblade. Hell, I actually couldn't skate that well, even with the regular skates. I wasn't the greatest skater. I didn't run into the walls, but my turns were not graceful. Hey, it was what it was, but I had a good time. You might scrape your knee a little bit, but that's okay. You get out the skating rink and, go ahead and grab yourself some pizza, play yourself some Double Dragon, and get right back in the roller skating rink. It was a good time. It was a good time. I don't think that necessarily would be a bad thing to bring back, is to bring back the roller skating rinks. I think, kids nowadays need a place to go where they can be social. Also, you got to be athletic, or you're getting exercise when you're roller skating, right? I think that would be really good for kids, social thing, exercise. They're learning how to work as a team. Sometimes you dancing out there wasn't nothing like when they put the slow jams on and you go out there with your little friend or something like that, and y'all holding hands. If y'all could do it together, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I wasn't that great of a skater. Y'all holding hands as you going around the skating rink. If you was really good, that y'all was hugging each other and roller skating in unison. Now, these are the type of things that would be useful for kids nowadays, because to work well together, to do those type of things, to be out and about, not sitting inside or texting. Not saying that this generation is, a bunch of homebodies, but they're kind of like a bunch of homebodies. I don't know. Roller skating rinks. I'm telling you, if you grew up during the time when we was out there roller skating, it was a good time. Good time. I missed the roller skating rink. Now, I wouldn't get my 44-year-old ass on some roller skates right now. That's just begging for me to break my hip. But back in the day, your boy was a decent skater. All right. Another thing that we did back in the day that we don't do now is ignoring seatbelts entirely. Let me repeat that. We used to ignore seatbelts entirely. I'm going to be real honest. I didn't put on a seatbelt until they passed a law that you had to wear a seatbelt. And for some people, they're like, well, hadn't that always been a law? No, it was not. I think it became law in the early 90s, where it was the law for you to wear your seatbelt. Most of the time, people's out there raw dogging riding in the car. No seatbelt. Nothing strapped to your chest. You get in an accident, you just going through the windshield, or you're going out the side windshield, you was just going to fly around. You was going to break something for sure, because we wasn't rocking no seatbelts. And I'm glad that seatbelts is a thing. It's saving a lot of lives, and it's not really that big of a deal. It's not restricting. It's actually relatively comfortable, considering the fact that you got something strapping you into a seat. But yeah, that was a thing that we used to do back in the day when people just used to ride around without their seatbelt on. Now you won't even think about it. Even if you're just going to the store that's just less than a mile down the road, you're going to put your seatbelt on. Well, probably because you don't want to get no ticket. You're probably not thinking of your safety, but maybe you're thinking of your safety. Hopefully you're thinking of your safety. You should be, because you can't be out here riding around with no seatbelt, because you're going to get a ticket. And if you get in an accident, you're going through that windshield. And that's something that we used to do back in the day that we don't do anymore. And the world is better for it. People was complaining when they first came out with the law to put your seatbelt on. Yeah, people was complaining when they put out a law that said you couldn't drink and drive. People was complaining about that. There are news broadcasts. It doesn't take much for you to look it up. Just Google it, you'll see it. People was out there wilding because you couldn't drink and drive and you had to wear a seatbelt. Think about how crazy and barbaric we used to be. Whew, that's crazy. I got one more. One more thing that we used to do back in the day, or that used to be prevalent back in the day, that's not the case anymore. And that's being unreachable. Being unreachable was normal back in the day. What do I mean by that? We didn't have cell phones. If you was a baller like myself, if you was a baller like me, then you had a pager. But most people had one line that was a landline to the house. If you wasn't home, people couldn't get a hold of you. Life was free because now we have these cell phones that's attached to our hip. Everybody does. It's attached to our hip, which means that we could contact you instantly through text message. Hell, before that, it was email that got sent directly to your phone. Or we could call you, but this time when we call you, instead of calling your landline, maybe somebody's home, maybe somebody's not, your cell phone. You definitely got it on you, which means that when you don't respond to something, people realize you're ignoring them. Look, I don't understand people of my generation, my zillennials and my older millennials. I don't understand how y'all can have text messages just piling up. I need to answer them. That gives me so much anxiety. But I remember a time where I didn't have a cell phone. There are times in my life over the last 20 years where my cell phone has been broken and I'm waiting for a new cell phone. And at first there's this anxiety because people can't get a hold of me. And then I think to myself, people can't get a hold of me. I can find a way to get a hold of somebody if I need to get a hold of them, but they can't get a hold of me. And because they can't get a hold of me, it's not me ignoring them because my phone isn't available or I don't have a phone. So it doesn't come off as me being a jerk. I mean, it was a simpler time. And we're just reachable now all the time. And if you're not responding back to the text, obviously you must hate my guts because why? Your phone is right there next to you. But you do have some people who will put their phone in the next room and forget about it. And I envy those people. I really do. I can't. My anxiety means that I need to respond to everything immediately right now. So if I take a long time to respond back to you, I'm either recording the show, working, or it's one of those rare times where I do put my phone away and say, I need a break. Doesn't happen too often, but it happens. But those are the things that used to be prevalent back in the day that's not so much now. Some stuff is cool. Not real big fan of hitchhiking. Not a big fan of the TV dinners. I am a big fan of going back to letting the kids roam free all day. They got cell phones. They're trackers. Okay, so you know where your kids are. Okay, I am a big fan of roller rinks coming back. You know, skate land, things of that nature. I'm a huge fan of people being forced to put on their seatbelts, and I kind of wish we could go back to being unreachable. I mean, I guess technically I could go back to being unreachable, but I kind of wish I was unreachable right now. And I guess I am because I'm on the show recording. So it's on my phone, it's on Do Not Disturb. But you know what? There are people out there DMing me right now. I'm getting some text messages right now. I can feel it. I don't like that feeling. I want to go back to where I was unreachable. So if you can't reach me, maybe I decided to go back in the day. But like I said, that's a millennial, zillennial thing. My Gen Z people are not going to be feeling that. They just don't understand it. They didn't grow up in that life. But coming up next, I'm going to be giving Gen Z their praise, especially when it comes to workplace. All right, Gen Z, you're about to get your flowers. This next article, because once again, I was reading articles and I was like, this is an interesting topic that I think my audience would really enjoy. The article is called Gen Z Workers Refuse to Follow These 12 Unspoken Job Rules and it's by Marie Lisa Reyes. I'm sure it's probably Marie Lisa Reyes, but y'all get the hint. So the basic premise of the article is Gen Z workers are challenging traditional workplace norms and refusing to follow 12 unspoken job rules that previous generations have long accepted. Now, I'm not going to go through all 12. What I'm going to do is just paraphrase the article by putting them into little blocks that I felt were fitting. And a lot of people, the millennial generation, the zennial generation, and especially the boomers, are going to hate everything that Gen Z stands for. But when you actually think about it, Gen Z is absolutely right, because boomers, Gen Z, no, Gen X, boomers, Gen X, zillennials, and millennials were lied to about what it took to be successful. Maybe not so much boomers, it kind of worked out for them, but Gen X, zillennials, and millennials definitely were lied to about start a job, work all day, progress up, climb the ranks, retire, live a good life. Like, that's what we were sold on. That's the bill of goods that we were sold on, and it didn't work out. And Gen Z saw that and said, well, I'm not doing that. That seems stupid. And when I break this all down to what the article said, you're going to be like, yeah, you know what? Gen Z is absolutely right. So some of the key points of the article, like I said, I'm not going through all 12 the unspoken rules. What I did was, reading comprehension. It works, ladies and gentlemen. You can read an article and then break it down, an outline of what the article said. And that's what I did. So I'm going to be tackling some of these key points from the article to just show how Gen Z is improved upon what should be the work experience. Okay. Gen Z has rejected low pay and seeking fair compensation. So basically, Gen Z workers refuse to accept low pay, even if they have years of experience. 70% of Gen Z say salary is a crucial factor in determining if they will stay with an employer. Gen Z is willing to leave for better opportunities elsewhere if their employers do not provide fair compensation. That seems pretty self-explanatory, right? Like, who doesn't want to get paid? Now, some of you people out there that are older, that are not a part of Gen Z, is you got to work your way to get to the pay. Who says? Why? Why is that? Most of these billionaires inherited their money. They didn't work their way. There are a lot who have, but they inherited their money. I should be paid what I feel that I'm worth. If you don't want to pay it, fine. I'll find somebody else to pay it. But these older generations, these boomers, these Gen X, these millennials, they're getting mad at Gen Z for not taking the crap starting salaries that we started out with. And just because we broke our back and climbed the ranks to get to the point now where we're doing well, doesn't mean that they have to start in on that level as well. You're just jealous. You're jealous that you didn't have the balls to say when you were their age, hey, no, thank you. I'm not going to accept this job. That pay is too low. And also, they're saying the hell with and loyalty to a company, because a company ain't got no loyalty to you. There are some companies out there that do have loyalty to their employees, but for the most part, they'll fire you. A business, when they're starting to lose money, they'll do layoffs. You expect the owners or the board to take a pay cut? No, they do layoffs. You're the first person to go. So why would you have any type of loyalty? Why would you go above and beyond? You are hired to do a specific job. You do that specific job at the pay that they said that they were going to pay you. I had a friend, a company paid him more in a paycheck than that they said that they were supposed to. It was a bonus. And they said, well, we gave you too much. And we just discovered this flaw. So we're going to deduct $3,000 from your next paycheck. And I was like, okay, well, it was a bonus. Like, did they mess up the bonus? And he was like, no, they didn't mess up the bonus. They just trying to say that they gave me too much and they going to take their money back. Well, did they take it up? He was like, yeah, they took it out of my check. He left. And that was the final straw for him. I had been telling him for a long time, hey man, it's time to move to a different company because it doesn't seem like you're happy. He had that loyalty because that's the way we were raised, right? Like you get a job, you stick at a job, you live for 20, 30 years, you get your retirement or your pension, and then you go on and live out happy retirement. No, there's a whole 20 to 30 years of you living, working at that job. You should be happy. So there is no loyalty because they're going to cut you off as soon as they start to feel the punch. And Gen Z is like, look, I don't got no loyalty to you. This company across the street is going to pay me more money for doing the same job. Are you going to increase my pay? No. Here's my notice. I'm out. And I completely agree with them. And if you don't agree with them, you're just a hater. Because logically, that makes absolutely perfect sense. All right. Gen Z also prioritizes work-life balance and mental health. Gen Z workers are willing to put in Gen Z workers are unwilling to put in long, unpaid overtime hours and ignore their mental health needs. They expect employers to support their mental well-being and provide a healthy work balance. Look, mental health is a new thing. So for boomers, don't get it. And okay, live your miserable life, die from having a heart attack because you keeping everything inside because you think that's what we're supposed to do, be the strong silent type. Cool, you live that way. Gen X is catching on, right? Gen X is catching on and mental health is really important. Millennials know that, but Gen Z have been starting on this real young. Gen Z is my mental health and well-being is important. Also, Gen Z is out here saying, look, all this unpaid overtime and I go on vacation, but you still want me to kind of be, still in tune with what's going on. No, a vacation is a vacation. I had a friend of mine and she's a partner in a firm. And she was upset at some Gen Z people because they were going on vacation and she told them, well, periodically check your email if we need your input on something. And they were like, no, I'm on vacation. And she said to them, well, it's your responsibility to be available if we need you. And they said, no, I'm on vacation. And she was pissed. And she told me the story. And I was like, I think you're telling me the story because you want me to be on your side, but I'm absolutely on their side because they're absolutely right. It's a vacation. They're taking a vacation from work. That's what it is. Well, no, I used to, you decided that. You decided that you wanted to work on your vacation. So it wasn't no vacation. It was just time not in the office. You decided that. They're saying, I'm going on vacation. And they're absolutely right because they worked to accumulate those vacation hours. They worked to accumulate that sick leave. They worked to accumulate that paid time off. And all this overtime, when you ain't getting paid extra, I know people are going to say, but you're on a salary. So yeah, whatever. If all this overtime is wrecking my mental health, something got to give. And Gen Z is saying to their employers, look, I'm not going to live this life. I don't mind doing the work, but I'm not going to live this life. You don't need to respect my boundaries for my mental health and my personal life. And logically speaking, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'm going to always go back to logic. Logically speaking, that makes absolute sense. Just because you didn't want to do that doesn't mean that they're wrong. They're actually right. We're wrong. And we're still wrong if we're trying to convince them that what they're doing is wrong. I know that was a lot of wrongs in the same sentence, but you know what the hell I'm saying. All right. Another thing Gen Z does in the workplace that are unspoken that you just don't do, right? Communicating openly and advocating for themselves. Gen Z workers refuse to stay silent and are willing to voice their opinions and ideas, even if it makes their employers uncomfortable. They are unapologetic about advocating for their needs and not enduring disrespect in the workplace. I hear a lot of stories. I don't work in a traditional workplace setting. I run the day-to-day operations of a company, and I can luckily do it from the comforts of my own home. A lot of people are starting to be able to be executives and work from the comforts of their own home. It's the only reason why I'm able to do this podcast, right? Is because I work from home and it's fantastic. I'm never going to go into an office again. But y'all know the situations with these office politics and employers playing with you with the way that they speak, how they interrupt you. And Gen Z is just like, hold up. You're going to respect me the way you talk to me. Just because you're my boss doesn't mean that that gives you a right to disrespect me or talk to me any old type of way that you want to. And they are being advocate, being like, yo, watch how you speak to me. And taking people to human resources. Human resources is a newish thing. I think human resources really started in the 80s, really became popular in the 90s. There didn't used to be human resources. If you had an issue with your boss, oh, well. But these Gen Z people is like, no, we're going to go to human resources. We're going to figure this out because I'm not going to live in this environment. And it all goes back to mental health and safety and safe spaces. Look, if you're paying me for a job, I'm going to do that job, right? But you're not going to make that job miserable. Like, you're just not going to do it because I don't need to have this particular job. I could buy my time and leave this joint. And a lot of people are no loyalty, and that's okay. You can sit up there and work 20, 30 years, get laid off, get your pension stolen. That's happened to too many people believing that a company is about them. No, you've got to look out for you and your family and what's the best for you guys. And Gen Z is just like, they might not have families yet, or maybe they do. Gen Z is just like, look, this ain't for me. And they're speaking up for themselves, whereas most of the time you kept quiet. Another thing that Gen Z is doing is embracing flexibility and rejecting rigid norms. Gen Z workers reject strict dress codes and the requirement to work a rigid 9-to-5 schedule in the office. They prefer the flexibility of remote and hybrid work models that allow them to better manage their time and priorities. I've been thinking a lot about this, about remote work. And for me, it's fantastic. But a lot of people, their social life is kind of wrapped up in their work, and they like to go in their office and talking to people. They didn't like sitting at home and not being bothered. There was a loneliness and that solitude. And I get it. I get it from that standpoint. That ain't me, but I get some people need that. Let me just first say, if your job is your social life, there's a major problem. There is nothing wrong with enjoying what you do. There's nothing wrong with taking pride in what you do and enjoying what you do. It should not be your life, and it should not be your social life. I'm not saying that you can't have a social life with your coworkers outside of the job. It shouldn't be your job is your social life. And a lot of people that I know that were having problems with remote work, it's because their social life was at their job. And I was like, well, that's your problem here and there. Because fact of the matter is, a lot of these people that you think are your friends on the job are not your friends. Because if they were your friends, they would see you outside of the job when y'all are doing remote work. If y'all not getting together, y'all are not really friends. If y'all not chit-chatting and not talking about work stuff, just talking about life stuff while you're in this remote gig, then you're not really friends. So what you have is a falsehood. Sorry to be the one to burst your bubble. I told y'all at the beginning in the first segment, I've been getting real raw and real with folks and just been telling them, hey, this is what it is. This is what it is, okay? If you think that these people are your friends at work, call them and ask them to hang out, or just call them to just shoot the breeze that don't have nothing to do with work. See how that goes. Sorry to be the one to tell you, but 9 times out of 10, they're your work friends. That means they conversate with you at work or converse with you at work because y'all are around each other. But when they get home, they don't want to talk to you. And the reason why Gen Z is not really bothered by this is because they grew up on their phones. They grew up on IM, on their phones. That's how they communicate. They don't have to be in the same space. They really don't. And when they want to get in the same space, they'll call each other and they'll hang out and they'll meet together and then they'll go to separate ways. Sometimes they're in the same space and they're still on their phones preoccupied. They're not tripping. They don't need to go into the office. And nobody needs to work this rigid 9-to-5, right? Nobody needs to do that. Get your work done in the time that you're supposed to get done. Meet the deadlines like you're supposed to meet the deadlines, and boom. And who created this work professional? We've been slowly leaving towards that. When I was working in the office 20 years ago, we would have business casual Fridays and I didn't have to wear a suit. I like that. I don't like wearing suits. Well, sometimes I've recently picked up the fact that maybe I do like wearing suits, but I typically I don't like wearing suits. Don't want to wear them every day, right? I wear sweat clothes every day. It is a great life. It is a great existence. And so Gen Z is just like, look, that's what you want to do. That's not what I want to do. And you can't fault them for saying, this is what I want to do. You're just upset that they have the balls once again to say what they want and not accept what's given to them. All right, last thing is that I got from this article is Gen Z prioritizing personal growth and mobility. Gen Z workers are less loyal to a single company and more willing to change jobs to improve their pay and find more fulfilling work. Look, let me tell y'all something. The only way, and I'm about to put y'all on game, so lean in, listen close. If you're watching, close your eyes and listen to the words I'm getting ready to say. This is very important. This is the greatest workplace game that I can ever give you. If you want a significant raise, the only way to do it is to change jobs. That's it. A little 1%, 2%, 3% raise with the same company. Yeah, you can keep taking that if you want to, or switch companies and get a 10 to 15% increase in your pay. Also, just think about that. Think about the small raises that you get if you get an annual raise, right? If you work for the government, a lot of times people don't get these annual raises because they got so many continuing resolutions that there is no increase in the budget to give government workers their raises, right? So some government workers have been on the same pay scale for the last, 3, 4 years, okay? Because they've just been doing continuing resolution after continuing resolution. Only way to increase your pay, switch jobs. And once again, I'm going to say, where is this illogical? Where is it illogical? Where is it illogical for you to have respect in yourself to say that I'm not going to just settle for any old thing? Where is it illogical for you to say, you know what, I don't necessarily need to be loyal to this company. I should be loyal to myself because this company not necessarily is going to be loyal to me. The company hits hard times, layoffs is coming. They ain't loyal, okay? Maybe if you get some mom and pop organizations, they might be loyal. Other than that, people ain't loyal. Companies ain't loyal, okay? So there's really no reason for you to have some loyalty to them when if you're getting a raise, it's peanuts, right? 1%, 2%, 3%, even 5% is not a significant way to change your life, to progress your life forward. 10, 15, 20% by switching to a new job, new company, absolutely a way to change your life. And Gen Z is just saying, hey, look, I got to go where the money is. I'm about this money. And it's one thing that I have learned about Gen Z is they are about their money. They have more millionaires before the age of 18 than any other generation. It's not even close. They know how to generate income and generate money. And you're mad because you can't figure out how to do a TikTok dance to make yourself a millionaire. And this 12-year-old did it. I don't hate on them for being successful. I don't hate on them for finding a way to improve upon their life without having to go to the struggle. Who wants that? Oh, it builds character. No, it doesn't. It builds stress and anxiety. Keep that character stuff. That's what it really builds. But y'all just want to be upset. And okay, if y'all want to be upset, be upset. But while you upset, Gen Z is out here living their best life. And I'm about to join Team Gen Z. I can't get no younger, but I can get that mindset. I've always kind of had that mindset anyway, but you know, I'm going to adopt it a little bit more. Maybe you should too. You'd be happier. You would be a lot happier. But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you once again, this will be the last episode until after Christmas. The next episode will be 27th. That will be a collection of clips from our uncensored shows on our Patreon page. And that will be the last show for the new year. And then we will be back. I believe it's January 7th. I think that's the Tuesday. We'll be back with another sibling happy hour. Like I said, if you follow us on YouTube, which you should, to watch our YouTube exclusive shows and YouTube exclusive content, then you'll see all of the YouTube exclusive content throughout the week of Christmas and New Year's. And also, we're going to update our graphics. When we release and relaunch in 2025, we're going to look and feel a little bit different. Hey, we're trying to up our game for the new year. So thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Happy holidays. And until next time, I'll holla. Whew, that was a hell of a show. Thank you for rocking with us here on Unsolicited Perspectives with Bruce Anthony. Now, before you go, don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, comment, and share our podcast wherever you're listening or watching it to it. Pass it along to your friends. If you enjoy it, that means the people that you rock will enjoy it also. So share the wealth, share the knowledge, share the noise. And for all those people that say, well, I don't have a YouTube. If you have a Gmail account, you have a YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can actually watch our video podcast. But the real party is on our Patreon page, After Hours Uncensored and Talking Straight-ish. After Hours Uncensored is another show with my sister. And once again, the key word there is uncensored. Those are exclusively on our Patreon page. Jump onto our website at unsolicitedperspectives.com for all things us. That's where you can get all of our audio, video, our blogs, and even buy our merch. And if you're really feeling generous and want to help us out, you can donate on our donations page. Donations go strictly to improving our software and hardware so we can keep giving you guys good content that you can clearly listen to and that you can clearly see. So any donation would be appreciative. Most importantly, I want to say thank you for listening and watching and supporting us. And I'll catch you next time. Audi 5000. Peace.